Everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to use Pigeon library inside your Flutter application for native code communication. So if you don't know what Pigeon is, it is kind of like method channels. So if you have some native code written in Kotlin and you want it to communicate with your Dart code, you can use Pigeon for it. So in this tutorial we will be only looking into Android and iOS, because I don't have a Windows machine or a Linux machine. But if you're interested for Mac OS, do let me know in the comments. But in this tutorial we'll be only covering Android and iOS. So we will be writing some native code. Like, it will be pretty simple, like we'll be only passing some string data. But this would be a good starting point if you're writing a lot of native code and want type safety between your Dart code as well as Flutter code, Dart code as well as your native code, which can be Kotlin and Swift. Then Pigeon would be really helpful. So let's see how to do this. So as usual, I have just created one Flutter application. Then you can just go to the installing section, and here you can see I can just copy this particular command, and I can just go to pubspec.yaml and I'll just paste it over here. Command S to save. Now one thing which I have noticed sometimes is, if you have never used Pigeon before inside your system, even after pasting this inside pubspec.yaml and saving it, it doesn't really completely install it. I don't know why. Maybe there is some bug with VS Code Flutter plugin. Just to be on the safer side, you can just do this as well. So just cd into your Flutter project and just do this as well, just to be on the safer side. So yeah, here you can see Flutter like Pigeon dependency has already been installed. Then I'll just go to main.dart. Then I'll just remove all this unnecessary code which I have. Okay, I will refactor this home page widget completely, because I want to keep things simple. So here I'll just create one stateful widget. So let's just wait for VS Code to show up. Like, VS Code I think is still catching up. Okay, here you can see, so I'll just name this as my homepage. Okay, now we first need to create a Pigeon file which helps us to do code generation. So let's do that first. The first thing which I will do, I'll go to the root of our Flutter project, and here I'll just create a folder called pigeons, and inside that I will just create one file called message underscore api.dart. You can name it whatever you feel like, but if you're doing this for the very first time, it's better you follow what I'm doing. Then I'll just paste some code over here. Let's go through it one by one. So here you can see, firstly we are importing the Pigeon package. Then you have to like write this particular bit of code. So here is configure Pigeon. What should be the Dart package name? So I'm just giving it as Pigeon underscore message underscore API. That is the name of my file. Then where should be the output file being generated? So here I'm telling it that once we need to run command to generate this particular output file or code generation thing. So this should be generated inside the lib folder, and it should create a pigeons folder. Inside that, create this particular file. You can change this location to whatever you feel like, and for Dart you have to give this Dart options as well. Okay, then for Android, where you want this Kotlin output to be, so there is some Java as well, but I have commented that out because I don't want to use Java. Here you can see for Windows it is C++, and there is for macOS it is Objective-C. So if you want, you can use that as well, but like I said, I'm only concentrating on native Android and native iOS. So Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. So here you can see this path. Some of you might be wondering, where did I get this part? So where I want this particular message api.g.kt, so where this particular file message api.g.kt file should be generated, right? So that's what I have given this path. So it needs to be generated inside the Android folder, app, src, main, Kotlin, and this is the package name, right? For me, com example. So if you have changed the package name, you will have to change it over here as well. So that's what I have given, com example. Then inside com example, create a folder called platform channel with Pigeon. Inside that, create a pigeons folder, and inside that create a file. So you can change this to whatever you feel like, but do remember, at least create it inside this particular package. Otherwise you might get issues. And here you can see for Kotlin options, again, if you have changed the package name, instead of example you will have to change it. So com.example.platform channel with pigeon. So same thing what we have given over here. So make sure you be consistent with whatever you have given. Then for iOS, again, you have to go to Swift out iOS. So here inside iOS, go to runner, and here we have this. We'll create this message api.g.swift inside this runner folder itself, and here we just pass this swift option. Okay, so till here everything is clear. Now I have defined few set of things. So first one is called here I have created an called abstract class called message API, and I have annotated with @host API. That means this particular thing needs to be implemented on the native side. Okay, so this particular implementation of this, and here I have created another abstract class called reverse message API. So this has been annotated with Flutter API. That means Flutter needs to implement this. So hopefully you're getting the point. So I have marked this as asynchronous because it is an asynchronous operation. I have also created one more class, abstract class, and another marked as @host API, but this is synchronous. So hopefully you get the point. Again, within a same abstract class you can define multiple methods as well, but just for simplicity sake I have created different class, so don't get confused. Like most probably many of you won't require, you won't even require this, but I have just shown you. If you want to send some message, you can do that as well from Flutter side to from Flutter to native side. But here also if you see, we will be calling this particular thing from Flutter side itself, and we will be passing this input from Flutter side as well. So basically you don't require this, but I have just kept it just in case if some of you might require it. There is something called event channel as well, which helps for continuous sending and receiving of messages from Flutter and native side. That is not supported by Pigeon. So hopefully you got the point what we are doing over here. Then we need to now run a command which will actually create all this code generation things for us. Okay, so over here we again come back to our terminal, and then you need to run this dart run pigeon dash dash input. And if you see, the folder name was pigeons, that's why I'm using pigeons over here as well, and whatever was the file name message underscore api dot dart. So I'll just run this, and it should be able to do the code generation part. So it's pretty quick. Here you can see inside the lib folder it created the pigeons folder message api dot dart. Also for iOS, if you go, I go to runner, here you can see message api dot g dot swift. Similarly for Android as well, app src main Kotlin. Here you can see platform channel with pigeons message api dot g dot kt as well. So hopefully you got the point. Now let's first see the Dart code on how I am implementing it, then we'll see the native code. Okay, so over here I'll just remove this particular part and replace it with new code which I have written. So let's go through it one by one. So first, inside this my home page state, I'm implementing this reverse message API. So if you remember, for reverse message API we annotated with @Flutter API, right? That's why we have to implement this particular class. For other classes that needs to be implemented on native Android side, so we don't need to worry about it. So I'll just add this particular import as well over here. Okay, then I have created a few strings. Again, if you want just to be less confusion, I can just make it as empty string as well. Okay, so callback from native is empty, message from native is empty, and another message is also empty. Now inside the init state, I'm just given that this is a Flutter host. What we have written is Flutter API, sorry, we have to again do this reverse message API dot setup of this as well, and here we just call get message from Flutter. So here you can see get message from Flutter. So I'm just passing this particular message. Now the native side will receive this particular message. So hopefully you are getting the point. So here you can see get message from Flutter method I have created. It takes some input, and once we like we are just overriding this method, and whatever message we get, we just set it from set it over here, and whatever message we get, we just assign it over here. So hopefully you got the point. Else, and here I've just written I'm a callback from Flutter as well. Okay, next is send message to native. So if you see, we have this this one, I think, get message from, yeah, this one. So for message API we have this get message from native, right? So that's what we are implementing here. I'm just passing I'm a message from Flutter. Again, you can change it to whatever you feel like, it's up to you. and once we get the callback, so the native side will do something on this, whatever they want to do it, and whatever result we get from the native side, we just assign it to our callback from native thing. Okay, so this is asynchronous, that's why we are using future void as well. Then inside the build method, I have just defined one scaffold, a center area, center widget, and inside that we have a column. So first we'll display message from native, which we had over here. Then next one is I have created one button as well. uh, so on click of the button, this is another thing, right? Greet API, sorry, class which we have defined. So again we instantiate it and just call the greet method which we have over here, and it takes an input, we pass it over here. Even though this, like I mentioned, this is an asynchronous API, still on Dart side we have to use async await. I didn't really get why we have to use it. If you remove it, it will throw an error, but on the native side it is synchronous communication. I still don't get why this is async await on Dart side. And whatever data we get, we just assign to another message. And here you can see I'm just displaying using text element to display this another message. And same, I have another text button for calling this send message to native over here. Okay, and whatever we get over here, we just display it inside our text element. So hopefully till here everything is clear. Now what I'll do is, just to be on the safer side, it's better you open Android Studio to write the native code, because if you write it from VS Code, you can write it from VS Code as well, but you will not get proper intelligence, and you will have to run your application just to see if there is any error or not. So open Android Studio, just click on this open button, go to your application. So I'll just go to my application over here, I'll select Android and I'll click on open. Now this will do a little bit of Gradle syncing, so let it do its thing. In the meantime, what I'll do, I'll also open iOS as well. So just go to your Flutter application again. So this is my Flutter application. Go to the iOS folder and double click on this .exe workspace. Now for iOS you have to open Xcode, because this particular file which was generated, this message api.g.swift, this has not been added to the runner target of iOS. That can be done only from Xcode. We can't do it from VS Code. That's why you need to open Xcode for this. So yeah, let's just wait for Xcode to open. Even Android Studio will take a bit of time for all this Gradle syncing stuff and all that thing. Okay, so let it, like, once this is done, I'll come back and explain you guys the next code. Okay, so first, like I said, we'll have to go to the sorry we'll have to go to our Flutter project, go to iOS, go to runner, and here we'll have to first drag and drop this inside our runner over here. And here you can see, make sure this target is checked of runner, and then click on finish. Now you can, if you want, you can use VS Code as well, but I'll still recommend to use Xcode only. Then go to app delegate. Firstly we need to write some code, so in between these two lines just paste this particular bit of code. Again, I'll explain it to you what we are doing. So first is our message API setup, because that was, if you see over here, message API and greet API, those need to be implemented on native side. That's why we are doing message API setup. Here we pass our controller.binary messenger. Now we need to create one controller as well. Same thing we do it for greet API setup controller.binary messenger as well. Now we need to implement this APIs as well. So we'll implement that in a bit. But here if you see, we also use this reverse message API, which is from Flutter itself. Right now that we don't need to set up, because we have already set up that on the Flutter side. If you remember, inside main.dart, over here we can see we have already set up, because it was annotated with @Flutter API. So we can directly use it over here. So whatever message we get for reverse API, we get it over here. Again, it requires a controller which we will create shortly, and then we just do reverse API dot get message from Flutter. So this is the method, get message from Flutter, and here is, you just need to pass a message. Okay, I am message from native, whatever, and whatever result we get, we just print it over here. Hopefully you got the point. Now for implementing this to message API setup and greet API setup, so here we need to implement first and override few methods. First thing is, we will just create our controller. So this is how we create a controller. Then, like I said, we need to implement two of our class, right? First one is this message API and second one is the greet API. Now the advantage of using Xcode is Xcode will now immediately throw me an error. Hopefully you might have to wait for few seconds. Like we need to override or implement these two methods, right? So I don't know why it is not throwing me an error. Let me try to build it by doing command B. Then I think it will throw me an error saying that you have not implemented this methods. So it just take a bit of time to synchronize internally. So let's just wait for this to build. Once this is done, I'll come back and explain you the next steps. Okay, so this has worked. It has failed. Okay, so here you can see now it is showing me the error. So typed app delegate does not conform to protocol grid. So I'll just click on this fix, and here you can see it has automatically implemented the methods for me. So I need to write the actual implementation, but at least the method signature part can be a little bit tricky for you because you won't be using this method, right? You will be writing your own method inside those pigeon files. So I'll just copy this, cut this, and I'll just paste it at the bottom. This is just a thing which I do. You can keep it at the top as well. I just like to keep it at the bottom. Now we need to implement this. So this is pretty simple. Here we just, like I said, this is a synchronous method, right? It accepts a string. So here I can just type something like, here I'm what a message I'm passing from native side. Let me quickly check. If you see over here, I'm just passing world, right? So I can do something like this, hello. Okay, and here the message will be world, right? So that's what I will do. Here you can do whatever manipulation you want. Like I said, I'm keeping things simple. So this is gone. Now we need to worry about this. So this is an asynchronous thing. That's why we are using this completion handler as well. Again, you will have to write your own logic, but I'll again keep things simple. Okay, so here you can see I will just paste some code. So I'll just paste this code. So I have just taken one string. Okay, and to return back the message you have to use something called completion. So this is a success message, right? So I can directly use dot success, and here we are just passing a response. So hopefully you got the point. That's how we send the message back to Flutter side. So yeah, that's it for iOS. Now let's go back to Android. Let's see. Okay, so Android Gradle syncing has also been done. Then I can just go to Kotlin. I can just go to my app and I'll just go open this main activity, and I'll just do this first. And here we have to use implements. Oh, I don't think we have implements in Kotlin, right? We can directly do, yeah, greet API as well as message API. Okay, and I can directly implement these two methods with the help of Android Studio. So that's the advantage of using Android Studio and Xcode. I don't have to worry about all this method signature. It at least helps me to some bit. Okay, and here again I'll just return it back like this. So return, and here yeah like AI is helping me out with this. Then we also need to override the configure Flutter engine method as well. Configure Flutter engine, yeah. So this method, now here we need to write some setup code. So first let's write that setup code which I will be writing is very similar to what we have written it on the iOS side. So I'll just paste this particular code. So here again I'll just first import this reverse message API as well. So here you can see these are all the imports. So first we have to do again message API dot setup, pass our binary messenger as well as this, because this is what we are implementing. Similarly for greet API as well, and for reverse message API we don't need to set up because that is done on the Flutter side. So here we again pass the binary messenger and get message from Flutter, and here we just pass this message arguments, and whatever callback we get we just print it to the console. So here you can manipulate or do some kind of stuff. Again I'm just printing it just to keep things simple. Now we only need to implement this particular part. So over here I'll just print this. So here I just do callback result dot success, and I am callback from native. So I have kept things simple. So yeah, I think that should be it. Now let's run our application and see the output. Okay, so here you can see I have my simulator running. So I'll just click on this click me button, and here you can see I'm able to see hello world, because this was for the greet API, and I'll click on click me too, and here you can see I'm callback from native as well. So hopefully you got the point. So yeah, that's it for iOS. Let's see it for Android. So here is the output for Android as well. I'll just click on this click me button. Here you can see hello world, and I'll click on click me to. I'm a callback from native. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.